I was struck last week when Eric Holder, the Attorney General, was talking to our Pierre Thomas, our Chief Justice correspondent, as we see the footage there, the black smoke coming off the wreckage, that he can't remember a more dangerous time during his tenure.
Exactly what we were saying earlier, George. I really can't either. There is so much going on in the world and so many dangers. And as Ray Kelly said, Yemen, you've got all these areas, and now Iraq too, where you have safe haven, where you really have safe haven for some terrorist organizations. Again, we should go back and say that's not indicated here in the loss of this plane today, but it's something to look at. When I flew out of Israel yesterday, because of the terror fears, because of the TSA, we actually thought we were going to go through a very, very thorough search. It didn't. In fact, it seemed lighter than usual coming out of Israel, because it's very difficult to get out of Israel, and you have to have all kinds of questions and coming in as well. But you know that they checked every single bag going on that plane and every single carry-on bag that was going in and out of there because of the terrorist threat. Flying out of Baghdad as well. Certainly heightened alert going in and out of there. I was thinking again as we were watching this and listening to Colonel Ganyard and John Nance, and those tactical landings when you go in and out of those airports over the years in Iraq, and we certainly did that about 3 weeks ago, a little more so than usual, trying to avoid or hopefully avoid some sort of shoulder-fired missile. On those aircraft, if you fly in on a military aircraft, I did not, but certainly have many, many, many times, there is always someone looking out, part of the crew members looking out for surface-to-air missiles, visual identification, and of course they'd get it on the airplane as well, but there's always somebody visually looking out, trying to see that. Again, you really wouldn't have that on a commercial airliner unless it happened to pass right in their view. I mean, if you think about those airplanes, the cockpit, the flight deck in that airplane is very small, very high in the front of that airplane. I'm usually on those exact kind of airplanes flying around the world. That pilot really doesn't have a line of sight of very much. It's pretty much those instruments he or she relies on.
Back to Kirat Roddy in Moscow with some new information.
Yeah, that's right, George. We're hearing now through, again, the Interfax news agency quoting a separatist leader saying that they have found the black boxes. And again, remember earlier they were saying that they were going to turn those over to the Russians once they did find them, which of course raises all sorts of questions about conflict of interest, given the fact that the Ukrainians and now the U.S. Embassy in Kiev have accused the Russians of being behind the shoot-down.
Okay, so confirmation from the rebels, at least according to Interfax, that they have found the black box. I want to go back to Richard Clark on this right now. As Martha was saying, no indication that this was terrorism right now. The Ukrainian president has said that this plane was shot down. But what kind of concern would there be inside the United States government right now that the terrorists might take this moment of crisis as an opportunity?
Well, if this crash had occurred anywhere other than on the Russian-Ukrainian border, we would all be sitting here trying to figure out what terrorist group did it. We've never seen terrorist groups take advantage of crises elsewhere. They don't seem to be that agile. But as Commissioner Kelly was saying, we do know that there are terrorist bomb makers out there, and they've been making bombs. Obviously, the TSA has changed its inspection regime for flights coming into the United States in recent weeks because of new intelligence that either the group in Yemen or the group in Syria has figured out a way of masking explosives as batteries in electronic devices. So that could happen at any time anyway, not because this is going on, but because they've been trying to do it for a long time.